So, aloha and welcome to this week's Warrior Wednesday webinar. That's quite a tongue twister we have. So this week's episode will be on those pesky holds and letting you know what our summer advising options are. So before we begin, I just want to wish everyone happy National Donut Day. So if you have not gotten a donut, please get a donut. I'm not sure if you frequent Dunkin' Donuts, but once you become a UH Manoa Rainbow Warrior, you'll probably be frequenting Dunkin' Donuts pretty often since we have one on campus. So definitely get my Dunkin' Donuts fix later after this webinar. All right, so for those of you that are new to the Zoom webinars, we do have several functions here. So this is actually a live recording. Right now it is 2 o'clock on June 5th. I had to double check, June 5th, 2 o'clock. So for those of you that are joining us now, welcome. Please take advantage of this time we have. This is kind of one way, so you can see and hear me, but we won't be able to hear and see you. So if you do have questions, one way to get your questions answered is through this chat function. So I'm not sure which view setting you put your webinar on, but if you just kind of move your mouse, you'll see where your navigation bar is. Some people it's at the top, some people it's on the bottom. For me, it's on the bottom, so if I hover my mouse on the bottom, one of the icons I'll see there is chat, and the icon is the chat bubble with 3 dots in it. So if you click on that, a chat room will pop up, and I see some of you have already started asking questions there, so perfect. So with me today is Bailey. He is my colleague. Oh, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Connie. I'm an admissions counselor here at University of Hawai'i Manoa. And I'm joined by Bailey, my colleague, who is also an admissions counselor. He'll be question master today. So if you have any questions, type it in the chat and he'll answer it while we're having the webinar. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have time for Q&A. So specifically, if you have other questions, even if they're unrelated, we'll be happy to answer them for you. All right, so I think that's all for the housekeeping items. So first thing on the agenda is talking about those holds. So if you've logged into your STAR account or your MyUH, you might have noticed that you will have a hold. So what is a hold? Is that something that you should be concerned about? The answer is yes. You don't want holds on your account. Holds are restrictions. So holds restrict you from doing certain things depending on what the hold is. And we'll get a look at what the different types of holds are. But basically, if you have a hold on your account, that is something that you want to get taken care of fairly right away, just so that you don't have those restrictions in place. Secondly, I would be talking about a specific kind of hold, and that if you don't take action or you don't do something to have that hold lifted by July 15, then you'll actually be disenrolled or dropped from all of the classes that you've just registered for. So that one is very important. That one is second on the list. And then last thing we'll be talking about is summer advising options. So even if you've already registered for classes, even if you already know what your 4-year plan is going to be like, it doesn't hurt to meet with your advisor, especially because when you do come join us in the fall, we do have mandatory advising in place. So it's kind of good to get oriented with the university and different policies we have. So yeah, with that, we'll begin. So I'm actually going to do some screen sharing. So it's not going to just be my face. You won't see me the whole time. Let me just kind of change it, and I will do some screen sharing. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, so I'm going to stop my video, but you still will be able to hear me. a bit of a technical difficulty. Just give us a few seconds. All right, so we got it figured out. Thank you, Bailey. Okay, so first thing we're going to share. All right, make that bigger for you so you can see. If you can just chime in the chat. Does everyone see my screen? Office of Registrar of Holds. Okay, perfect. Thanks for your feedback. All right, so holds. There are different types of holds we have here, and they tell you when these holds take place. So for example, let's just scroll down here to the different type of hold. So health clearance hold, that is second on our list, what we're going to be talking about just after this. So there are financial holds. There's also like academic holds. So some of these financial holds would be if you rented a book from the bookstore and you didn't give your book back at the end of the semester, or you still owe some money, library fines, residence hall rentals, if you have any parking tickets, hopefully not. It is about, I think, $40 or $50 a ticket, so those can rack up pretty fast. Hopefully you don't get any of those kinds of holds. But for the financial obligations, all you have to do is pay the appropriate office, pay those fees or fines, and then after, within the hour, typically your hold will be released. Now for academic holds, those would be a different type of hold. And so for you coming in, majority of people that have academic holds would be for not submitting their final high school transcript. And so we know that, you know, some high schools have already graduated, some high schools, their seniors are still in school. So we're not going to penalize our students for, you know, not submitting something when they're not able to submit that. So if you see that you have a hold on your account and it says that it's preventing registration, don't worry about that. You actually can register for classes even though you have a hold, because this hold does not take effect until August 19. So by August 19, if you have not submitted your final high school transcript, then August 19, that's when you'll have a hold. That's when you won't be able to register for any more classes or change your class registration. That's when other things will take place. So we're going to look at an example of what holds are, and then I'll show you a different one. So for example, after you log into your MyUH portal and you scroll down, you select view my holds, it will take you to this page. Your screen will look like this. And so after you log in, you can see the type of holds that you have. So here it looks like it's the administrative hold, not financial aid hold. So that's good. And it'll show you the hold type. So where, you know, if it's a financial aid, it's a system hold, etc. And it'll have a description. So here it is academic advising hold. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have mandatory academic advising for your first 2 years. So that is your first 4 semesters. So if you don't fulfill that, you will have a hold, and that will prevent you from registering for classes in the next semester. So definitely you want to take that one taken care of. But you can see the from date and the to date. So it looks like, for, you know, in this example, this hold doesn't start to take effect until April 5th, 2016. And if you waited long enough, 80 years, in 2099, this hold will be lifted. But if you want it to be lifted before those 80 years, then you can always just contact the originator. Right here, it says Admissions and Records Office, and it gives you a phone number. So you contact them, you say, okay, I have a hold, I want to get that released, what can I do to release that? And then they'll let you know what you're supposed to do. If it is a financial a financial obligation, you will have something in the amount. So again, for you as incoming freshmen, you probably won't have any financial obligations. Your hold will probably be that system hold of not submitting your final high school transcript. But to avoid that, just whenever you do have your high school graduation, go ahead and request your transcripts from your high school. Check with your registrar or with your college counselor. Schools do it differently. With some schools, the registrar will automatically send it on your behalf to your the school that you said that this is the school that you're going to. For other schools, it's not automatic and you actually have to put a request in. So a lot of times these requests, they do take time. So just be careful and keep in mind that if there is, some kind of time restriction where your school can't get it to us right away, don't worry, you do have until August 19th. Okay, so if you have any questions on that, definitely put that in the chat and Bailey will be able to answer that for you. So with that, we're going to move on to the next type of hold. So the next hold I'm going to talk about is actually health clearance hold. And so it has an example on the previous page that we were on. So I'm going to change my screen. Okay, so we're back here. And you can see here, health clearance hold. So if you're newly accepted, so for you incoming freshmen, or for those of you that are transfer students coming in, you have to meet these health clearance requirements. And we've detailed that in your acceptance letter. And it says that you cannot register for classes until your health requirements have been met, but you actually can because freshman registration happens in the summer. So we just had several webinars about freshman registration, and so you can register for classes. However, by this deadline of July 15, if you do not submit those health clearance forms, then you'll be dropped from all of the classes that you've just registered for. So it's very important to make sure you get that in by July 15, and I'm going to show you where to go in just a second. So I'm not sure if Bailey did already, but Bailey, those two links, if you already put it in, great. So I'm going to go over the health clearance forms, and then I see that we do have some newcomers. So welcome to our webinar. And if you've never used Zoom before, or if this is your first time joining one of our webinars, if you kind of hover your mouse and you go to the navigation bar on your screen, you can see a chat function. So if you have any questions, please type it in and ask it in there. And then Bailey, my colleague who is next to me, he will be answering them for you. So this is a live recording, so take advantage of that. But again, it's kind of more of a one-way, except for this chat function. So definitely take advantage of that chat. Okay, so on this site, so if you go on this link, you can actually click here and it will take you to health clearance form. This is the link that Bailey has or already put on the chat for you guys. So if you want to follow along, feel free to. If you want to just do this later, you have access to the chat later. If you also, if you forget about this, you can also just Google Manoa Health, get that out of the way. If you just Google Manoa University Health Clearance Forms, it is the first website link that pops up. So it'll take you to the site. Okay, so a little bit on the health clearance forms. So if you've looked at any of our other videos or our new Rainbow Warrior checklist, or have attended any of our accepted student receptions or presentations, you will kind of know what the requirements are. But if you're new to this, don't worry. You do need to have proof that you have TB clearance, so tuberculosis clearance, which is a skin test, and you will also need 2 doses of MMR. Interesting. Yeah, I saw that pop on my screen too. So, all right. If you see someone on your screen, apologies, we'll just ignore that and continue on. Okay, so you do need a TB clearance, and then you also need 2 doses of MMR, so measles, mumps, and rubella. And so you might be wondering, I've already gotten that done. If you have, perfect. You just need to fill out this form, and you can download this form here. So if you click, this is a link, it gives you PDF, and after it loads, you'll see this part. It looks like 7 pages, but it's actually not very long. There's only 2 forms for you to fill out. Most of it is just information for you to read through. For those of you that are local to Hawaii, if you wanted to get your TB clearance done, and if you have not gotten your measles, mumps, and rubella vaccines, you can actually come to the University of Hawai'i Manoa Student Health Services Center, and they are able to do that for you. For those of you that are from out of state, maybe in the mainland or international students, you can still get that done by a licensed healthcare provider. So there is more information here. So you can just read through, the finer details here. But basically, let me just show you what the form looks like. So very easy. You just put in your name, your birthday, your UHID number, your UH email address, all that stuff. Sign, just saying, this is me, and everything I'm putting on this form is correct to the best of my knowledge. And then this is the second part where you can actually take this form, print it out, take it with you to your doctor's office or your healthcare office, and they'll be able to help you fill this off. So this is more like for yourself. Do you have a cough? Were you born in a country other than United States, Canada, Australia? So you can answer all of those. And then part 2, this is where your doctor can actually help you with the dates because they will have your records there. So if you have questions on that, definitely ask your doctor. I'm sure your parents will have records of that, especially for the local Hawaii students. You do need these vaccinations before you start middle school. So you probably do have those records. You might just have to kind of find it or contact the hospital. But this is fairly common. Everyone does this. Actually, every university requires some type of health clearance form. So just download the form and fill it out, take it to your doctor, and you have several options for mailing it in. So I will just go back to the health clearance website, and it talks about the different ways that you can submit it. So it says here, you can actually fax it, and it has this fax number here. You can mail it, and it gives you the address here. You can send it in an email using a file drop, and then over here, they have file drop the procedures here. So it gives you the link, what the code is, what you have to do. So it's very easy to follow. And if you are local to Hawaii, you can actually walk it in, go into our UH Manoa campus, walk in the Health Services Center and say, here, I'd like to turn in my health clearance form, and they'll take it for you. So especially for those of you that are from off island, somewhere in the mainland or other areas, just make sure that you allow yourself enough time to get that in. So if you mail it, just to be safe, give yourself about maybe 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, just to be safe. If you're going to fax it, good rule of thumb to practice is after you fax it, wait about like 30 minutes and then call the line and ask if they received your fax. Don't just fax it and then assume that they received it, because you never know what kind of technological problems that could happen. So just to be careful and make sure that you confirm that it was received, I would just contact the University Health Services Center and ask them if they received it. You will also be able to see on your records, on your MyUH, if that hold has been lifted or not. So definitely make sure you do that before July 15, as you don't want to be dropped from your classes. Okay, so if you have any questions on that, feel free to type it in. I see there's a lot of people on chat, so great. And then the last thing on our agenda is about summer advising. And so summer advising, whether you've registered for classes already or if you didn't, you can benefit from meeting with your academic advisor. And so this summer, we actually revamped our summer advising program. So the advising office has worked on this type of new workshops. And so we have several types of workshops. So if you are a local student, if you live here on this island, and you have access to the Manoa campus, then it's recommended that you come to our on-campus workshops. If you are from the mainland, if you're international, if you don't live on this island, but you live on another island like Hawaii or Big Island, you can still get your summer advising. You would just need to do the online workshop options. So I'm going to share my screen with you and show you that as well. Okay. Okay, so I think Bailey has already put the link on there. So if you want to click on that link, this is what where it will take you to. So it looks like this, summer advising, and it asks you, are you an incoming freshman on Oahu? So do you live on Oahu, an incoming freshman? If so, click here. So we'll just go this route first, and then I'll take you to the other route in just a second. So after it loads, you see these are the workshop dates, and they're all on campus. And so the first line here, on-campus workshops are designed for Oahu first-time freshmen. All other incoming students should visit the online workshops for assistance. So this right here, the screen I'm showing you, this is specifically for Hawaii local residents living on the island of Oahu who can easily drive to the Manoa campus. If you have to fly to Manoa, don't do that. Choose the online workshops. But to continue, you can see here, we call each workshop a focus pathway, and they're categorized into similar majors. And so we have exploratory pathway, STEM and architecture, so science, technology, engineering, math, more exploratory, social science, business and travel industry. So you can see they're grouped like that. And so it gives you the dates, it gives you the time. So if you're able to attend one of these dates at these times, perfect. You would just click on sign up. So I'm just going to click on this random one, sign up, and it takes you to an embedded Google form. And so what you do is you type in your address. So if I wanted to do it, I type in, my name is Connie, so I type in my email address, and then I just go ahead with the form. So just to double check, make sure that you are a freshman who lives on Oahu. We do not expect you to buy a plane ticket to attend the on-campus workshops. So if this is you, then you click yes, and then you continue on with the rest of the form. If, however, you are on the mainland, we're not expecting you to fly here. You can go to, on this navigation page, click on online workshop. So you click on that, and that's okay. We can leave the page and just let it load for a bit. Okay, perfect. And then it walks you through. So our online workshop is through Google Classroom. So I'm not sure if you're familiar, but as a UH Manoa student, your UH email is linked with Gmail, with Google. So this is great because you have access to all of the Google apps. So you have Google Hangouts, Google Classroom, Sheets, Google Drive. It's really convenient for you. So we'll be using Google Classrooms for this. So there is a video. If you've never used Google Classroom before, the Manoa Advising Center has provided a video for you that'll be really useful. And it gives you steps 1, 2, and 3. And it gives you the course code. So it's very easy to follow through. So when you are ready for summer advising, you can follow these steps, and then you can get your advising that way. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask it now on this chat. If not, you can also contact the Manoa Advising Center. We are not advisors. We are admissions counselors, so we don't provide academic advising. If you have questions on specific classes, or I'm an engineering major, what do I take in my first semester, or what does my 4-year plan look like? These are questions that the academic advisors are trained to answer, and so those types of questions you can save for when you have your summer advising. But if you have questions about how summer advising works, about the different holds you have, or any other kinds of questions, feel free to ask that, or email us, or give us a call, and we'll be able to direct you to the right offices so we can be your resource for you. So we talked about a lot of different things, so I just want to kind of recap what we've talked about. So first, I've explained what holds are. So holds basically are restrictions that are placed on your student account, and they can prevent you from things like registration, from attending sporting events, from receiving any refunds. So if you have leftover aid from your scholarships, and you can get an e-refund or a paper check in the mail. But if you have a hold, they won't give that to you until you get that hold released. So same thing with the sporting events, same thing with, all the other kinds of things that you would need to use your ID for. So that's why we don't like holds. We want to make sure that we can do everything we can to get those holds lifted. So if it's a financial aid hold or financial obligation, then you just have to pay, and then within about an hour or two, the hold should be lifted. If it is the pretty common hold about your high school transcripts, don't worry, that hold does not take effect until August 19. And remember, if you log into your MyUH portal, it will tell you when the holds will take effect. So just because you have a hold doesn't mean you're restricted. You just look more into it and see when that hold will take effect, so you have time to kind of figure out how to get the hold lifted. Secondly, I talked about health clearance and the hold that you will get then. So health clearance, what was the date again? July 15. So that's coming up pretty soon, next month. So I'd recommend going this week or starting now. Download the form, fill out what you can, make a doctor's appointment to get that TB clearance, and just to kind of follow up, make sure that you do have your MMR vaccinations, or you can provide records for that with the dates. So if you do have questions, feel free to call your hospital, and they'll be able to provide record for you. They might even be able to mail it to you. So each hospital is kind of different, so just check with that. I'm sure your parents will be able to help you with that. Maybe you have records of that at home somewhere. They can help you with that. And then lastly, we talked about summer advising, and you can still see my screen here. So we have given you the links in the chat. So if you have access to that, but if there are no other questions, then feel free to, you can leave the meeting right now. If you don't have questions, that's all the content I have, so you can end this meeting now. But if you do have questions, then please stay. We'll keep on the line, or we'll keep this meeting open, and you can feel free to type your questions in the chat. So again, for those of you that might just be joining us in the last half, if you hover your mouse or move your mouse a bit, you'll see there's a navigation bar at the bottom of your screen. Click on chat. You'll see the chat room. A lot of people were typing in questions. So if you have questions, type it in there. If not, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you 2 weeks from now on the 19th for a virtual tour. So we'll actually be going live on Instagram, and we'll be taking you around the campus. One of our campus tour guides will join us, and they'll take you around campus on Instagram. We will be sending out another email. You probably already received the email to receive the link for this meeting. But again, check your email. We'll be sending out another one with the recording of this webinar. So if you want to listen to this webinar again, you can do that at whatever leisure you want. You'll have access to this. So thank you so much for joining us. If you have questions, please stay. I'm going to turn off my camera so you don't see my face anymore. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.